Jess, you're on the phone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I just want at the end of all the presentation, I want us to vote on two things or a motion of shared or interim and which services that we're going to go through for those searches. So I'm hoping you can stay on for the whole thing, Jeff.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'll turn it over to you, Trent.
Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate you taking things up this morning. Again, I already warned you about making sure you're caffeinated and ready to go. And as I mentioned, Shannon Bisgard would be another consultant from our team, from our leader services, that couldn't be on here this morning, but he would be part of our search process. You have also, I want to acknowledge, we sent you a proposal with references to kind of outline our search process, and also a video that I think just visually goes maybe a little bit deeper than I can go today. Today, I wanted to highlight some of this maybe unique, specific things that we offer, because if you're hearing multiple proposals, you're going to hear some things that are consistent, and then you're going to hear some things that are probably very, very different about the different firms. So I just wanted to respect your time and cut to the chase on some of the things that are unique or different we feel like we can offer. So, and please interrupt. I'm going to keep this a bit informal, but I have a few slides to share just to visually share with you what we can offer. And by the way, GLS has been in, we are an Iowa firm. I live just south of Ames. Shannon lives in Cedar Rapids. We have team members all across the state. We serve Iowa, Colorado, Missouri, Oregon, Nebraska, Texas, primarily. But I have different consultants in all of those different states. So what we would do for you is obviously make sure we have our Iowa team geared up and ready to go. So let me share my screen with you. Can I share my presentation with you here quick?
I can share, so you should be good.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry, I forgot to do that at the beginning. Okay, so I jumped right in there. Like I said, Shannon, John Spear, and myself would be the lead consultant. So I'm not going to jump on here and share the stuff and convey this today and then not be part of your search. But I also want to acknowledge there'll be other people involved in the search. And then we have 3 back office people that help make sure everything goes smoothly as well. But that's our Iowa and Midwest team right there that I mentioned. I want to acknowledge when I talked about this search, I thank you guys, and I just heard the mention there about making some decisions at the end of this meeting about next steps. I want to acknowledge that this was a full search and it was earlier in the year. This is kind of the path that we would facilitate for you, from identifying the compensation parameters and what you're looking for, to recruiting, to screening, to getting feedback from your interview teams and probably doing a survey or focus groups in your community, and then obviously hiring a new superintendent permanent. But with it being a shorter timeline and close to June 30th, which is a key date in our state, and focused on primarily interim options for shared superintendents, I don't want to say we skirt the process, but we certainly don't have the time, nor do we need to do maybe all the steps. And so you can see here our big steps in this process for you, interim or shared, would be advertising and recruiting, which not many people are looking right now. So I'm just going to be honest. It's going to take a personal phone call or outreach to a board or a superintendent or interims, folks that are retiring, like we're doing at Iowa City right now. We had 19 applicants, and Shannon and I are doing the Iowa City CFO or superintendent search. So we would do the active advertising. We would bring those candidates to you with more information, references, social media checks, maybe compensation parameters that they would need. You would decide on who to interview, whether it's a part-time suit, interim suit, or shared superintendent option. I think you'll have multiple options. You would interview those people. We will help facilitate that. We will draft questions. We will get feedback. We will work with the candidates to make sure whoever you want to hire, the contract will work. And then we will do things like help update the contract, create a public announcement, those type of things to finalize the search. So those are kind of the big 3 ticket items in this short search. And then obviously I wanted you to see all the steps we go through if and when we earn your business for the permanent search. This is just a rough outline. Again, we can work quickly for you. But here in June yet, we would want to know kind of what are you offering, what are you looking for, what are the big rocks in the district that are priorities for you, so we can go find the right interim options. Then we go to work recruiting, and getting all the background information, and then we would bring those candidates to you. I'm going to say probably in about 2 weeks' time, 10 days, 2 weeks is what we need, and then you'd be hiring here right at the end of June or early July. That would be our ambitious but doable timeline. So for you, that means a couple meetings. If we earn your business, we'll go to work for you today and get rolling. We'd be reviewing applications again. I need a board meeting for that. It can be a Zoom like this, can be in person, and we would need a date for formal interviews. So two dates. The formal interview date would be longer. When it comes to recruiting, these are all the different places we would market the jobs. To make sure we call this kind of our passive recruiting, where we're putting it out there and it's going to get some attention and people will apply. But the truth of the matter is, and if anybody tells you different, they're lying to you. The truth of the matter is a lot of this for interims, part-times, and shared superintendents is going to take a personal touch or a connection or a relationship to get somebody to look at your job. So I'm just being honest. Throughout the application period, you're going to see every candidate that applies. Obviously, we're going to do our homework on licensure checks, social media checks. God forbid we don't want anything like Des Moines to happen, and it won't. But you're going to see every candidate that applies. So we create a folder. We put the cover letters, resume, reference letters in that folder. And then as we get more references, finalized interview questions, we put all that in the folder so that the board members can access that stuff anytime they have time to review candidates or prepare for the next steps in the process. So very transparent as long as you keep names confidential. We also do like I said, when we bring you candidates, we don't just bring you names or just resumes. We summarize their credentials, we check licensure, and then we do our own reference calls. So our goal is to have 3 formal references for you and then 2 references that are not people they listed. So that could be ISFIS, that could be school administrators of Iowa, it could be other people they've worked with, but we want to vet these people, multiple different ways, and we'll bring you that information. When it comes down to interviews, this is just a simple interview schedule here. We always like to start with tours, so they get to know your facilities and community a little bit. This interview team for an interim or a shared soup is probably going to be smaller. It could be your administrative team or any directors, but it's got to be a smaller group normally. And then the school board we normally put last because you're going to be there to debrief the day and talk next steps anyway. So this is a typical schedule. I just wanted to share with you for the interim or shared superintendent. This might look different with more people involved for the permanent. Here's another example. Tour school boards. Again, quick, consistent, thorough for the candidates, and also efficient for you, and we're there to help facilitate. When we get feedback from interview teams, we normally grab that electronic or paper copy, and then we bring you all of that feedback as well. We also do a DISC assessment, an attributes index on our candidates, so you get to know them not just in their interview, but how they would present every other day as well. I mentioned Des Moines already, but we have taken a lot of pride in learning from Des Moines. We did not do that search, let me clarify. But we did learn a lot about what went wrong. And so I want to look in the eyes here virtually and tell you on every candidate, including interims or shared soups, we run these 7 background checks from national criminal, state licensure, civil rights, social media, their public domain, sex offender. Then the school district runs the national background and e-verification now. So we have not had any issues with this ever. We got found a few things on candidates, and you will see this verification on your finals. Give you that peace of mind, so there's no surprises. Another thing that's really pivotal with the shared or interim or part-time superintendent is to make sure you get your top person. So maybe you saw some of the stuff coming out of Iowa City. It's kind of a tough search, but Shannon and I are working that one. And before we were hired, we started contacting people. I think we reached out to around 65 people. We got a lot of no's, but we had 19 candidates apply for Iowa City with all the drama and news that they have. So we feel really good about that. And they selected 2 finalists to interview on Monday. So right now, as an example, we're working with those finalists to know exactly what they're getting into, but also identify with them what kind of salary and benefits package will you need if you get the offer Monday after that board meeting. So we can turn around and negotiate that contract and have it in place and make a public announcement within about 48 hours. And I would do the same for you. Not only are we going to recruit, but once we narrow it down to who you want to interview, we want to help you make negotiations smooth so you get your top person. So I hit on, I know that was maybe quick and efficient. I don't want to breeze over anything that should be assumed, but I also want to hit on, you have our proposal on our video, so I was trying to just hit on some things that I think are different and unique that you might want to know this morning about what we can offer. So I'm going to pause there. Glad to answer any questions about what we can offer you in this superintendent search.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? This is Jen. I'm the school board president. I have a question on if we are undecided, well, I guess we're going to decide tonight, but you have in here, just to clarify, for an interim superintendent search, it's $28.50 and sharing partner is $24.50?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to be real honest with you, Jen. That's real cheap.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I want to go in, I want to do it, and then I want to earn your business long term.
Okay. Yep.
Just being honest.
Yeah.
The reason it's a little less for shared is because in a shared superintendent, you know, we only have so many people we can reach out to within an hour and a half, you know, that aren't already shared. So it maybe funnels or synthesizes, you know, the funnels and the channels that we can reach out to. It's just easier because you're not starting from scratch and calling so many people. So that's why it's a little bit cheaper to consider the sharing options. Yeah.
Thank you. Jess, do you have any questions?
Nope. We worked with these guys earlier this year, so
okay.
I'm very prepared. Yep.
Okay. Good.
I don't have. I had my coffee this morning, so you guys can give me any questions.
I think we're good. I mean, you gave us a plethora of information.
Well, hey, we want to do business with you if we're the right fit. We feel good about, you know, those we've served. You know, just mentioned that. You can check into us. We're going to work hard to make sure things go and earn your business for the permanent search. And if we're not the right partner, that's okay. You know, I'm okay with that too. I will tell you, about 85% of the time we help a district hire an interim, not shared. It winds up being more than 1 year. And I think that's just because of the quality of the interims we put in place. It stabilizes a district. They usually appreciate that relationship and quality person. So it doesn't mean that will happen for you, but I would tell you that perhaps with an interim, depending on which direction you want to go, because I think you'll have options both ways if you want that. It could be more than 1 year if you're open to that too, but usually not more than 2.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all we have this morning for you, Trent. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Look forward to hopefully meeting you guys in person. Wish you the best.
Okay.
And again, thanks for getting up early and giving us the shot to work for you.
You too. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You bet. Take care now. Have a great day.
No. Right. So we'll have we might have more of a break. Right. The others might go longer because of their time because I wasn't sure. Well, yeah, the others might go longer because they didn't send a big packet like Right, I'm sure they're right.
Hi, Paul. We're a little early this morning. Oh, we can't hear you.
Okay, are you ready to go,
Okay.
you think?
Yep, we can hear you now. So we're on a little early, but if you're good to go, we can start whenever.
Yeah, Mike Ritchie will be joining too with
Okay.
us. I'll
You can
start
wait.
with telling you good morning.
Good morning.
You're trying to look forward to getting a replacement superintendent. It's a big task, and we're very much interested in helping you with that. My past history, I think, would be important for you. And as a school superintendent and administrator, I also formed Edwise. So for 8 years, I did searches all across Iowa. And then I joined 2 years ago with HYA, and for the national support and recognition and more database of individuals interested in being a superintendent or a principal. And along with me, I have Dr. Robert Olson, who will not be present today, and Gary DeLacy, both served in Iowa as superintendents and principals, and our combined administrative experience is 97 years. That's quite a bit of time there, plus the over 25 searches we did in Iowa prior to joining HYA, and then recently conducted the Waukee search for superintendent this year, and Riverside over by Council Bluffs. So that's just giving you a little background there, and I'm sure as we get engaged more, we'll learn a lot more about you, because we think that relationship is very important. We work for the board, the staff, and the students for their betterment. That's a huge part of what we do. Going through our proposal, I had talked to Janae about this presentation and said all the board members had our proposal. So I'm not going to read word for word for it, but just highlight a few things. And I begin with looking at the first page about the firm. The firm has conducted 37 searches in Iowa, along with my 25 would be, a little over 60. They have done searches for 35 years across the nation. So that's not something that's going to be a fly-by-night. They're going to be here long-term for you.
Hey,
And then
Paul.
there's a page about the
Paul, this is
board.
Jane. I'm not sure
Yes.
that they don't have you guys don't have that right. I don't know that all the board members have a copy of that. And then we also have a board member that's on the phone. So if you are talking about anything specifically that they need to see, if you can just verbalize that. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. I thought we had mentioned that to you, but all right. So the different phases that we do as a part of HYA searches, I'm going to talk about those briefly. And the engage phase, where we would come over and be on site and do a planning meeting with the board with a lot of information and details completed. We would survey the community, staff, and develop from that with the board a profile of your desired superintendent characteristics. And that profile drives how we recruit, drives how we conduct and ask questions in our reference checking about those individuals that apply. We also have at least 3 one-hour engagement sessions where we have a public meeting open, or, for people to come in and tell us about what they desire in the superintendent position, and for the staff, I'll have one for the staff. So those are things where we gather input. those things all lead to that profile, leadership profile report. And that is paramount to our work. We present that back to the public at open meetings. We do orientation and preparation training for your focus groups that you desire to have. And by focus groups, I mean, that like this teaching staff might have a committee that interviews the candidates and provides input to the board for you to consider, as they know you will make the choice. We train them on interview techniques, legal do's and don'ts, help them with developing their questions, and we are there the day of interviews and work with you throughout the interview day and afterwards to facilitate the discussion. So there's a lot there in the engage phase, and then we have the recruit phase, and that is done through advertising, of course, on Teach Iowa. They do that through the school, and then through HYA, it's included in our proposal cost. You're on their website, they're on their social media, and they have about 25,000 hits a month on the website and social medias. You may desire some other advertising we can talk about in the future, but it'd be not very expensive. We recommend maybe doing some advertising in Illinois and Wisconsin along with the Teach Iowa and the HYA website. Also, we have people that are registered with us that we know would be good for a position once we know because we know their information, their strengths and weaknesses, and we would, pair those with your profile report of what you desire in your next superintendent, and we would be able to contact them to see if they are interested in the position. So we do some phone calling, we do some direct, kind of recruiting pitches, and we identify the best candidates for you. The application materials, throughout this process, you as a board will have a portal. So one specific point that you go to, it's a secure site. Nobody else can get on but the board members. And you'll be able to see all of the information that we present to you will be put there. You'll see all the completed applications, not just the applications that somebody sent in a letter and a resume but didn't send references and other required information. So all of the completed applications, you'll see them all and be able to view them on this portal as in real time. As somebody completes, they're there. They may be 2 weeks ahead of the deadline, but you can review their approximate 18 to 20 pages of information they have to submit. And you'll need to see those ahead of time when you're deciding later who to interview as the time to do that. You don't want to spend all night reading something for the first time, so you get access ahead of time through this portal. Then on to the select phase, the third phase we have, and we present the slated candidates to you, and we have it in a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. You can interview whoever you like. Tier 1 is the ones that we would highly recommend you consider for an interview, as they meet all of your criteria and have very good reference checks that we conduct by phone and phone calls to individuals that know the candidate. We can get information gathered there, and we write a little report on that. Tier 2 maybe doesn't meet all your requirements, maybe has something in their reference checks. In other words, we wouldn't want to put them in 1, but they'd be okay in 2 if you'd like to interview them. And then tier 3, where we would discourage you from interviewing those individuals, as they may have not met your requirements, also have reference checks that would not be favorable if hired in your community. However, you can, as I said before, interview whoever you would like. Those are your choices. We would be working with your focus groups and yourselves on interview workshops. We would schedule the interviews for you. We would also facilitate a board discussion afterwards of the data, which that data received from the focus groups would all be on your portal. The one site, you don't have to go to 10 different emails. You just have this one internet access point to go look at information. The background check required by law, we have that. That's an additional charge. It's not included in our proposal. I also know as an experienced Iowa person that the ISB has an agreement with OneSource company in Omaha that you may be able to do those for yourselves and maybe at a slightly reduced cost than what we have. So I'm going to let you know that. We do recommend you have first round, semifinalists, whatever you'd like to call that, interviews, where it's just the board and it's by Zoom, and you have 25, 30 minutes of conversation with the person, and then you would meet afterwards and go through, we would facilitate that conversation to narrow, say, 6 people down to the final 3 or whatever your finalist number might be. So you could look at more people. The fourth phase of what we do is the transition phase. And there is 6 different meetings from national presenters for no charge. It's included in our fee. And that's for the board president or another board member or two to be with the superintendent. And for instance, the different items would be a 100-day plan, key performance indicators, one other meeting to align with the school goals, conversations about an evaluation of the superintendent, assessment of the current strategies, and the ongoing strategic planning information. Those are items that we would charge $4,500 for normally for somebody who's not been through a search. So that's included in our transition phase. That's the 4 phases. And again, if you look at some of our references, obviously Waukee just completed. That'd be a good one if you haven't called already. And Riverside, we just completed. Some of the other ones I mentioned in there were, from my time as EdWise, so you're getting the best of both worlds. 8 years, not just the last 2 years as being a search person. The thing we would change in our proposal, we would change to the guarantee being for a 2-year. We have no trouble with applicants that we place have been there and stayed there. And so we would change that client satisfaction on page 7 when you get to see that to a 2-year guarantee. And along with that, I would basically tell you now that there's no additional charge for interim superintendent. We would provide you 3 to 6 names, get their resumes, have you go over them, and you could set up, interviews with them and have somebody in place by July 1. We are very confident of that. So a little bit of a summary would be, for HYA as your provider of the search, you have the engage phase, the recruit, the select, and the transition included. You have the 2-year guarantee included. You have the portal included in the cost. You get, by the way, with the portal, we have a person involved who has been PR during their career and would very, very much be a resource to help you as a school district keep transparency in what you're doing. In other words, they would produce items that you could put out there after that planning meeting. Here's what the board did. It's online. People can see it right away. You can adjust it. You can rewrite it a little bit, however you would like. But, a lot of schools do not have a PR person, let alone somebody who's comfortable with putting this all together. So that's a plus. There's just, the 5 or 6 days on site, including being there the day of the interviews. We are there with you, providing insight on what we heard. So in other words, if you have 3 candidates there in one day, which is kind of normal, 2 or 3 for finalists is pretty normal. And we would have, whatever that number is, we'd have 2 HYA people there or 3. So we have a 1-to-1 ratio, taking that person around, guiding them. We would also be able to hear and see how they interact with every group too, to help, provide you a little more feedback along with the information you get from the focus group members. So I think I went through, and I know trying to honor your time, that may seem pretty darn fast, especially for you not having something in front of you. However, I'm going to leave some time here for questions you may have.
Well, can I jump in for a second?
Yes.
Yeah. So my name is Mike Ritchie, and I'm the Vice President for HYA. So thank you for the opportunity. I know Paul mentioned a couple references. I'm not sure if you mentioned that I also led the Iowa Association of School Board search for their executive director. So that would be another great reference for you to check to see what kind of work that we do. And I can't stress the board portal enough. That's one thing that really separates us from some other firms. And all of our feedback we always do a survey once we complete a search to the board. And the feedback is so positive on the board portal. And the reason we do that is we will not be sending you 100 emails. We will be sending you very, very few emails. Everything is in the portal. You can have access to everything 24/7. And it really makes that search go very smoothly. The other thing with our national recruiting, yes, we will definitely recruit locally, but we do attend a lot of conferences, seminars. And the other thing, that we've got about 135 associates that work for HYA. Paul and we can see every associate's search. So we can go on the front line. We can see all the applications that apply for other jobs. So just another way that we can recruit. We can look at who were their finalists, and if we feel it might be a good fit, we can contact them to see if they might want to apply. But over 75% of the people that we place are recruited by an HYA associate. So we do a lot of phone calls, recruiting, calling sitting soups, other sitting administrators as well. So again, we do spend a lot of time with that. But I think Paul covered everything else, but hopefully you have some questions for us.
They covered everything.
What's the price?
Oh, yeah, since we don't have a packet,
What is the price of your proposal?
Paul,
$14,500, and like I say, that includes the interim search.
and you said,
It also includes the Transition Academy, the 2-year guarantee, the survey, focus groups, 5 to 6 days in the district, board portal. And the other thing too that includes, we didn't really mention this, Paul did a little bit about our administrative assistants. We have Stacy. She will work very, very closely with your board secretary / administrative assistant. We will provide you with press releases, sample press releases, schedule. We'll do all the scheduling. We'll work with your webmaster and your website, and Stacy will provide you all those sample things that you need to create that will really, really make that person's job a lot easier.
so just to clarify, when you said it's 14.5, that would include, like if we did for an interim for a year and then for finding a permanent one the following year, right?
Correct.
Okay.
One fee for everything.
Thank you.
The other thing I want to add too is I've been working for HYA for going on 9 years now. I've completed 82 searches, and we've always had the 2-year guarantee. We did change the 1 year for the larger districts just recently, but typically it's a 2-year guarantee. So all my searches, my 82 searches, there's a 2-year guarantee. I've never once had to redo a search, and it's the reason is the vetting process that we put these people through. We use AI, we do Google searches, we call people they don't list. We know they're going to give us good references, so we call people they don't list. And we really, that profile report to the focus groups is we really match that to the best fit for your district. So that's, I think that's a big plus, our track record and trying to find you that right fit. We'll be the first two people to tell you, you don't hire someone just to hire someone. It has to be the right fit for your district, and we will stay with you. If you have to prolong your search, extend your search, we will stay with you until you find that right fit.
Thanks. Jessica, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you, Paul and Mike, for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the time.
Someone of them sent it on ago. You got it? Yeah. Oh, okay. We're not, it's almost on the fifth grade. Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay. I'll always keep rolling, so yeah.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
You found a quiet space.
I did find a quiet space. I moved away from the rest of the campers, so I'm sure do not want to be waking them up by doing a pitch with you this morning.
Well, my video, just an FYI, my video doesn't work this morning, so it's all yours. We are ready for your pitch.
All right, fantastic. First of all, thank you, everybody. I'm not sure if Janae relayed to you, but I am on vacation out in Colorado, and I apologize because I did not bring any collared shirts with me, and so this was the best I could find this morning. So appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. And I'm not sure if you have the slide deck that's
I wasn't
that I
able
shared.
to forward that this morning yet.
Not a problem.
Okay.
What I'll do, Janae, is I'll just you don't have sharing turned on. If you want to turn it on, I can share it. It's really not necessary, to be perfectly honest with you. You can share that with them later. If you want to turn it on, I can share it with them, but I certainly don't need to. So while she's working on that, let me just give you a little bit of background and some perspective on this work. So my name's Steve Murley, and I recently retired from the University of Iowa. Prior to that, I was a superintendent for 18 years. I finished up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I did 10 years right up the road in Iowa City. And I have been working with McPherson and Jacobson since 2011, really actively, probably the last 5 years. And have done quite a few searches in your neighborhood. So I just recently did the search in Central Lee, did the search in Louisa Muscatine. I've done north of us, I've done Charles City, Indianola, closer to Des Moines. I did Nottoway Valley and Cam. So really comfortable, familiar working in Iowa, comfortable and familiar working with districts your size, and certainly really comfortable and familiar working in eastern Iowa. I think where you're at right now, I'll just be honest with you, I don't need to do a big pitch here. You know how searches work. You have a short-term need with Chad leaving to get an interim in there, and then you got a long-term need to get a permanent soup in there. And so while I'm certainly sharing with you today my interest and willingness to help you out with the interim, I think your best bet's to think about this as a two-part process and think about this over the course of the full search. So this would really kind of be step one as I see it. I'll also tell you that I love all of my friends that do search work. I'm good friends with Trent Grunmeyer. from Brett Meyer Leadership Services. I know the team from HYA really well. Lots of us were former soups and traveled in the same circle. We all kind of do the same work. So what this is really about is a fit. Do you think you can work with me? Do you think I'm going to provide the kind of relationship and service that you need to get this work done? Is there a mutual trust between us to do this? And I think that's probably the most important part of the process. I can tell you that I've done quite a bit of homework coming in here. I've identified every soup in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota that has retired in the last 3 years. Thinking that obviously, ideally, we get somebody from Iowa who knows our laws and our budgeting system, but getting someone with some experience, and maybe even getting someone with some experience having done the interim before, so they know a little bit of what it's like, because the interim is very different than being the superintendent. So I've done the homework on that part of it. You've got a really tight turnaround here. Obviously, the quicker you can get somebody in, the better off you are. So the sooner we start this process and get somebody on board, the quicker you can move things along. It also gives you that opportunity to then shift gears and start thinking about the superintendent search in general and what that looks like. Let's see. I'll tell you that when Janae gets a chance to forward that search proposal to you, I actually wrote up the search proposal for finding you a permanent soup. I'll tell you that doing the search for the interim, because bottom line is always important, is about $2,500. But what I'll also tell you is if you decide to go with me, with McPherson and Jacobson, I'll credit that $2,500 towards a full search. Because again, I really see this as part of the long process, and it gives us that opportunity to really start the superintendent search now and have the interim be stage one. And keep in mind the other thing that I think is important is that the interim is very different than the soup. You need somebody in there not only in a caretaker role, make sure that the lights get turned on and all the correct forms get signed and all the rest of that good stuff happens with the Department of Ed, but also somebody who can keep things moving forward for you while you're in that search process for the permanent person. And so part of what we can do is we can use our time looking for that interim to also start identifying the things that you need in that person who's going to step in to replace Chad. All right, I just did a lot of yakking there without an opportunity to give you folks a chance to offer any input or feedback. So let me stop for a moment and see what questions we have, and then I can move on from there.
What is your price for the full search then?
So the total search would be, and I ballparked it right now, so I put 18 in there right now to do the full search, and then like I said, that the interim at about 2,500 would wind up being credited towards that total.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, when you see the deck, maybe I'll just add a couple things to it. When you see the deck, one of the things that I think is important for you when you look for that superintendent, you'll see that in the documents that it's not always hiring the best superintendent; it's hiring the person who's the right fit for the job. And the one thing that one of the reasons that I work with McPherson and Jacobson is we're pretty fierce about finding that fit. And one of the things that we are really proud of is a kind of a 3-number metric, 80, 60, 40. 80% of our soups are still in the position that they were hired for 5 years later. 60% of our soups are still in that same position 10 years later. And 40% of our soups are still in that position 15 years later. So I'm fortunate, I guess, right now, knock on wood, none of the soups that I've placed since I've worked with McPherson Jacobson have left. They're all still in their original positions. And I think that's really about the board and I in those districts spending a lot of time really focusing on getting somebody who's the right fit for the community and the right fit for the job. And like I said, I think part of that process then is starts with that search for the interim, making sure we find a good fit for the interim that keeps things moving forward so that you don't wind up skipping a beat in that process. What other questions could I answer for you?
Do you have, sorry, this is Virginia. Do you have this proposal? I did not see it this when I looked at my email. I did not see your proposal when I looked at my email this
You
morning.
did not see it. Okay, well, let me see if I can send it to you again right now and just see if it comes through. And make sure I got it right. Yeah, because I get your, you know what, I've got 2 emails in here
Yeah,
for
I
you.
have my
don't know
personal
how-
one and then I have my school.
Oh,
And you
let me
might
get
have-
this to you. I
this morning.
might have done that. Let me do that right now. If you folks
But
can
if
bear
you
with
send
me.
it to my personal, okay.
I'll get it to your work email right now. That was probably
We have a bit
your,
of a problem establishing my Zoom, so this is what we ended up with.
hey, you know what? If we can all modify and adjust, things will be just fine, right? Okay, that is on its way to you right now. And I wonder if I hit send request, does it pop up on Zoom now and give
Oh,
you
yes,
that
it does.
opportunity?
Yes, it does.
All right. Let's see. Oh, look at that. All right, we're cooking here. I tell you what, folks, give me 1 minute and I will have this up on the screen and I'll just walk you through it. I'm not gonna drag you through the whole process just because it takes longer than you probably want to spend this morning. Which, by the way, I appreciate you being up and moving early. So just a couple of really important things, because I think this will help you when you think about your interim as well, right? Where are you at today? What lies ahead? What does the district need next? And so I think you really need to think about this in a 2-part process, because it's today, I mean, literally today, with July just around the corner, but it's also next July 1st. And again, same thing with your priorities. We got to think about those for July 1/26, July 1/27. What are those challenges that you need this person to come in and be able to do over the course of the next year, and how's that going to set that next person up for success, so that they can make the greatest impact that they have on the kids, that they can on the kids. What I'm going to do with you as we go through the process, make sure I really understand the needs that you have. When we get to that point, even with the interim piece, my goal is not to bring you a person. My goal is to bring you multiple people so that we've got some choices as we go through that process. And then my goal is to stand beside you in that and serve as a resource to help you make a good decision. I'll tell you that where I've seen searches struggle is in these 4 areas. And at that bottom right-hand corner is the biggest one. Where I've seen soup struggle, both when I was a soup and now in the search role, and when I was working at the university, is when, for whatever reason, a person accepts a position for which they're not a good fit, or a board chooses someone that's not a good fit, either for the board or the community. And one of the things I think I do a really good job of is helping be able to be really honest with the candidates. Where you as a board don't always have that opportunity to do that. And by doing that, getting the candidates to make good decisions about whether they're a fit. That leadership profile helps enormously. I'll do a lot of work with you as a board, setting that up, and then working with the community to get a lot of input to make sure that we build a really strong profile. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure, and this goes with the interim too, we want to make sure that we find someone that wants your job, not a job. And there's a big difference between those two. And so when you have the profile set up and you can figure out the fit, then we can get the other pieces aligned. I just got my ugly mug on there right now. I usually work with a team of people. With the interim, I usually do it solo. If I do, once we get to the point where we're working with a search, I bring some other colleagues in. I've got a recently retired superintendent from up in the Cedar Rapids area who's joining the team, and a couple other people in Iowa. And I've got a team of people that I work with in Minnesota and Wisconsin as well. So it gives us a pretty broad reach. I gave you the 80-60-40 story already. Those dots there just give you an idea of the breadth of the searches that we've done across the country. I work primarily in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, and Michigan. It's kind of where my Midwest roots are. And I prefer to stay local. I am not going to walk you through this piece. You'll be able to see this when Janae forwards it to you. But this is the gist of the search process. Making sure we do a good job listening so we can make a good fit and alignment. That recruiting piece is really important these days. Getting over 10 candidates is tough right now. There just aren't a lot of people out there that want to be a superintendent. I can say that at least for the central lead job that we just wrapped, we were able to get almost 20 people in the applicant pool, and that's really based on recruitment. I am not going to go through phases 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with you. I'll give you an opportunity to take a look at that on your own. One of the things that I will add, I do this with the poll search. I usually don't do this with the interim, and it's usually a timing issue. But we certainly could do this. Is I do district guiding forces because I think it's really important to understand how people make decisions and why people make decisions, and this gives us some really great insight. With this full search, when you get down to the 3 finalists, I run a profile on all 3 of them. I take those 60-page reports and put them on a digestible format for you. It really gives us some content that we can use when we go through the interview process, so that we've got some better lenses to look at the answers that the candidates give us. The most important thing that we can do is get alignment. Alignment with the board and the superintendent, with the governance and the leadership piece. I work really hard on that. If you go back and have a chance to look at the full deck, you'll see phase 5 is about making sure that there is service after the placement. So I always joke with my candidates when I place them, it's a lifetime arrangement, and it's usually located in one place because they don't leave. But it gives me the opportunity to work with the superintendent and work with the board. I frequently go in after the search process is done and work with the boards and the superintendents. That can be setting up performance goals and doing the alignment on that, doing work on board governance and superintendent leadership to make sure that everybody understands what their roles are, how they work, and what the expectations are. So I put 18305 in there. I was doing this on the road, so I'd have to go back and put a pencil to it, but I will tell you one thing. I have a price match guarantee. So I said that the most important thing for you as a board is finding the right fit for your superintendent. I think that goes with the search firm as well. You want to find a search consultant and a firm that you trust and you can work with. So if you find, if you want to work with me, but you find somebody else that gave you a better quote, I will price match it. I guarantee it. We've also got a couple of strategic partners. I will leave those there for you to look at later. I think that's about it in the kind of the speed version of it. So let me hit stop sharing here. I know I can't see you, but you can see me better that way. So any other questions that arose from that I can answer for you?
This goes back a little bit. Sorry, my name's Jen. I'm the school board president. Steve. When
Nice to meet you.
when you were telling us the 80%, 60, 40%, so like on the 80% 5 year, do you have a number of how many were placed in 5 years, or?
Oh yeah, we do about 100 searches a year across the country. So if you go back 5 years, over that 5 years, we placed about 500 soups, and 80% of them are still sitting in the districts that they work at. And I'll tell you this too: most of the searches that we do, if you look at the country, it's a triangle. There's 14,000 school districts in the country. Most of those districts are small. We do mostly small school searches. There's a couple of guys in our firm that like doing the big ones, like doing the Vegas and the rest of that stuff. There's a lot more turnover up there. So we do a lot of searches that are in smaller suburban and rural school districts. And again, we spend lots of time with that fit piece. And so lots of the folks that we place wind up in places they want to be with boards that want them. And so they stick around.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Jen, do you have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you so much, Dee, for.
No.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking the time on your vacation. We really.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to do that. I hope I have the opportunity to work with you. Good luck as you move forward.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye now.
Sent it, but did not.
Oh, okay.
So he just sent it. I'm gonna tell him. And then once we're done with Nathan's, I'm gonna get in touch with Lino and try to put up Steve explaining to him and they did that.
Okay. Looks like they're playing ball or something. Yeah, see.
Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. You won't be able to see us. I had an car with my dude, but we can all see you and hear you.
Okay, sorry, I'm in the car. I'm traveling to, I just got to the parking lot here at the state board meeting at the Grimes building at the point I have to present here this morning on the FDAA system. So I apologize for you only get to see this look this morning, which will make it work, I guess. I'll kind of give you an overview of what I was thinking, but feel free to definitely redirect. My plan today is just to talk to you a little bit about interim superintendent services that Great Prairie can and has offered in recent years. Give you a little bit of background here, and then just talk about depending on what the district is looking for, Great Prairie can offer immediate short-term interim services July 1, or we can have provided a more of a longer-term situation. If the district is interested in that. Today I did send you a presentation, but I don't think I can I don't know if I can share my screen. If someone could give me the ability to share my screen, I can do that. If that doesn't work, then I can
I don't know how to get the ability, but the other presenters were able to do it. Oh, you got
I got a request, so that popped up.
You got it, so you should be able to share.
Perfect. Okay. All right, I'll do that real quick. So again, just talk to you about options this morning. Definitely, what I want you to hear, the big thing is the Great Prairie is here to support however we can give support, whether that be through interim services through the AEA or supporting an interim or supporting the district however it may need to be over the next year. So a little background on myself. I've been in this role at the AEA for 4 years. I've been at the agency for 13 years and as told, and I've served as the associate chief deputy. Also contracted out as an interim superintendent for a couple years at Montezuma School District, and also served the principal, regional director, etc. Before joining the AEA. Most recently, I just led the chief administrator superintendent search process at Keystone and Central Rivers AEA in 25. I want to be transparent though that I'm not available to do that this June. I don't feel like it would be done very well. I'm transitioning to pick up an interim superintendent job myself at Sigourney Community School District starting July 1. So if the board decides to not do a full search this spring or this summer, but does in the future, I would be interested in help lead or shepherd that process for the district, but not able to immediately right here this summer. So just some background on some short-term and long-term interim experiences from the AEA. So in the since 2019, we've been able to step in and help districts on several different situations. So in 2019, we supported West Burlington through a short-term interim superintendent position. We also served and led an interim position for the full school year of 23-24 at Fairfield and helped them line up that situation. And then again, the same thing at Pekin in 24-25 as they had superintendents that left late in the spring. So we did a short-term situation, and then we contracted interim for those school years. And then I myself was contracted as an interim superintendent in Montezuma. I mentioned a few minutes ago in 2020. The Thursday before COVID, before the schools were shut down, I interviewed at Montezuma through a search firm process and covered as a part-time superintendent at Montezuma from 2020 through the summer of 2022. And then we did, like I just mentioned, a short-term in Fairfield and Pekin. We also did Kyoto last year on a short-term basis. And then I myself will be serving in Sigourney starting July 1 for at least the upcoming year and looking at a long-term agreement. So some options the agency can support. Short-term, so July 1 until a surge or a long-term interim be put in place. The agency does offer short-term interim superintendent services. Some things that we've done in the past is shepherd board meetings, negotiations if those aren't finalized, any end of the year or start of the year necessities, and really just make sure we're there to support building administrators at the board as needed as those things come up. We really haven't set a regular schedule on that. and it's just contracted by the number of weeks and month by month and invoiced by the hour. So we've done that typically for a maximum of up to 6 weeks. You know, if you've got this situation that need to be 8 or 9 weeks, I think we can be flexible and also make that work. There is a cost associated with that, and it's in the statewide system. So all 9 AEAs across the state use the same one. It's $1,230 per week to serve as that on feds and with the state as a superintendent of record. And then we provide services anytime an administrator needs to come to the district. And it's $153.79, and I don't honestly know exactly how they come up with that number. It might be the $1,230 divided by $8. It's got to be pretty darn close. Another option is long term. So, you know, this is a situation I mentioned. I serve in Montezuma. I'm serving at Sigourney for the upcoming year. And this is more of it can be labeled as an interim. We've also just contracted superintendent services if the word interim bothers boards or communities based on prior experiences. We contract out a minimum of 0.2 or 0.4 FTE, so 2 days per week, and provide a licensed superintendent and a content expert. You know, I don't want to sell you on this. I do believe it's a service that the agencies will continue to provide across the state. But I'm going to talk a little bit about those benefits, and then I'll pause and be quiet and open it up for questions. One of the biggest benefits of a sharing agreement with the agency is that you would generate operational sharing. So if the district would decide to run a search, hire a part-time or full-time superintendent, definitely is their right to do so, but would not generate an operational sharing. With the agency, I think that $8,148 is the per pupil waiting for the next fiscal year. So would generate New London approximately around $73,000. The exact cost of what that 0.4 FTE based on the administrator that's on staff. So if that's the route that you decide to go, then we could definitely, or you want to or investigate more, I can arrange for myself and or that administrator to come down and talk a little more about that. I have a spreadsheet to turn some numbers. Other benefits just working with the agency, whether it's short term or long term, quick turnaround. You know, we can start this as soon as possible upon your board action, and then just work with the Department of Education to get things changed over for July 1. There's no cost associated with a short term or a search firm. If you go with the long term route, there's not $1,230 per week either. The other thing that I would say for the agency is that we have administrators who are really content experts. So specifically, the administrator that I believe would be a solid fit for New London has a background in special education. I know just working with the district the last couple of years, that's something that the superintendent has taken on and trying to lead the district in special education. So I think that would be a good match. And just our administrators have a solid understanding of content experts that are available across our agency, across the state. So if they have a need, they don't try to capitalize and fix those things all on their own, but reach out to an expert. You can reevaluate at any time. So if you said to the agency in October, like, hey, we found somebody local, or we've got a retired individual, or whatever it is, and you wanted to discontinue in January, we could do that. If you also said in November, like, hey, we think this is a good situation, we want to meet in February to be sure, but we think this could be a long-term, multi-year agreement, savings for the district and a good fit. The agency is open to a longer-term situation. I think that is what the district feels best. So what I'll tell you is we're not here to necessarily make money. We really are focused on the services side of this. We're here to support you however it may be. We're going to be flexible to meet those needs. If there's a week that a superintendent's needed 3 days a week, that's totally fine. We build that into their schedule. If it's a week where there's schedule's crazy somewhere else, we just ask for a little bit of flexibility, but when that can be, especially before the school year starts and after the school year gets out. But for the most part, we have it arranged where that administrator can be there on set days of the week, have that cadence to make sure that your building administrators, your staff, your students, along with your entire community, understand what the commitment is for the agency and how it is really a good option to move forward. So last thing I said, I wanted to start it with, and I want to hear again that whatever's best for New London is what's best for the agency and most important for us, and we're here to help however we can. So I will pause, open it up for questions. And again, if there are questions afterwards, Jen, you have my number, and you're all more than welcome to reach out at any time to ask any questions of how we can help support the district through this transition.
Yeah, this is Jen, Nathan. When we were talking, you said that you have 2 on staff that are superintendents. Would those be just the 2 options, and when we get to meet with them, and how would that look?
Yeah, so one of them is an individual who's a retired superintendent who we've got on the retainer fee, is what I will say, to serve as an interim. I did reach out to him last week and asked him, and he's earlier this week, I suppose it was. He didn't say yes, he didn't say no. So I think we could bring him into the conversation. We also have a full-time administrator at the agency who has her superintendent licensure. Who is interested. I haven't, said specifically the district, but I know she's local and probably understands what the district is. But I've said that this is an opportunity. Is this something you're pursuing? She is sure that it is. So what I would probably do if the district wanted to meet with those individuals, or at least one of them, I would reach out and schedule an opportunity or a time for them to we can schedule it either for a time for us to come down or Zoom in, whichever works best for the board schedule, and then talk about specifics after that.
Okay. Could you elaborate a little more when you said that you guys do assist with searches?
Yeah, so this is something that, as you may understand, just from being on the board, the AAA system had some pretty systemic funding changes in House File 2612 a couple years ago. Last August, the chief administrator of Central Rivers AAA and the chief administrator from Keystone AAA, so being Al Cater in Cedar Falls, resigned or announced his retirement coming up at the end of this month. So he asked if I would be interested in facilitating that search. So I will not claim that we can replicate exactly everything that the full-time search firms do, but we were able to lead those searches. We did a nationwide search. We advertised, brought community groups in, sought feedback from communities and then the administrative teams and all of those stakeholders that facilitated those interviews and the negotiated contract for both of those AEA boards. So it's a service that we are going to start, let's say contracting or selling. I like the term selling, but selling here at the agency with my schedule this spring, just starting as a superintendent, say actually starting 15th this month. I just don't have time to do it this year, but if the district went with a different route or an interim route and then and open it up for bids for a future search, that's definitely something the AAA would be interested in. We do have a charge for that, but I will tell you it's significantly cheaper than the market rate.
Jess, do you have questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Thanks for getting with us this morning.
You bet. Anytime. Just let me know how we can help. We'll go from there.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. Take care.
On the very first guy, Trent, what was the full price? I got the interim and the sharing, but did he give us a price?
It's in his.
Like-
12. Was it 12?
12. It ended up being like 60. It's right here. Like 28 for a share. No. 24.50 for sharing. 28.50 for intern search. And then if you do like a full superintendent search, it's 12.3.
Did he? I mean, I didn't read through this. It's my fault. But did he guarantee? Did they have a guarantee like the other one had it too?
I don't remember.
He never said that is.
I don't think he mentioned it.
I think you can always say you have a guarantee, and there's always ways out of contracts too. I mean, and to me, to say you have a guarantee, you would want to I wouldn't want somebody here that doesn't want to be here, and we wouldn't want to keep somebody we don't, thanks to them. So, one of the main reasons I contacted the AEA was because we're going to need coverage. Because I doubt, unless we went with them, I don't really think we'd have anybody in place by July 1st. So that's what the $12.30 per week is what they'll charge us to have a license, and then the hourly rate if they were called in, which I think in the summertime would be, you know, like we don't need a person here weekly.
The only person.
Right?
So I don't think I'll be calling
All of them come down, come over, come up, whatever. Okay. I still, when we talk,
Before you start, I
sorry,
sent out the proposal for that. I emailed you and Paul.
oh, in our email. I still think that it would be best interest to look at sharing for at least a year. Because I know it has been talked in the past if our district would be able to share with another district for cost savings and, you know, just the workload of the superintendent. And I know that the public there's lots of people in the public who have mentioned things about that. And so I just think this is a perfect opportunity to explore that option, to see if we could sustain that, if we could have a share, and what it would look like. I would like to hear from Scott and Todd, their thoughts on either way, because they're the ones that are going to be working every day with or without a person in the district. And even though I guess we could specify if you want an interim, if you want a full-time interim or a 2-day, 3-day-a-week interim, because I think you're going to have a different demographics of people. You know, you might have some people that only want a few days a week, and you'll have people that want full-time. And so if we found somebody good that was only a few days a week, to me, we would go sharing because we would get the sharing dollars, stuff like that. And they're actively working too. But what you guys?
Yeah. And I would agree with Jen that, you know, this is something that we talked about even when Chad was hired. There were some members of the previous board that asked us kind of what we thought. This is a perfect opportunity to see if that would work, you know, and whether it's with the AA or whether it's with a district nearby. The savings is great. It's a good opportunity to find out, hey, is this something we could do long term, a couple days a week? Can we deal with that? And if it doesn't work out well, then in November or December, we start that search for a full-time person. I think also with the district leadership staff and the teachers that we have in the district, it's not like we have people who are in their first year of being a building principal. We do have first year, you know, school business officer going into it, but Janae's super talented and can figure that out. We've got Austin Burns as AD, has done it for multiple years. We've got Allison, who's been curriculum for a bunch of years. We have lots of senior leaders on the staff. So I think we're pretty well suited to give it a try. What it looks like next year, I don't know. I mean, I think we've got to get into it and see where there's some pretty significant savings for that.
And I would agree with Todd that I think sharing is a benefit to our district because of the exact same things he's talked about. We do have people in place that have been here a long time. They know our district. They know the ins and outs. We need that person that can help us in those bigger moments, help with the budget, help with those pieces. But I think we have people in place that can do the other pieces. Plus, I've had the opportunity, I reached out. I've worked with individuals in districts similar to our size. We're part of a consortium like with our Perkins. So I work with principals that are in shared situations around us. And they've never spoke poorly of it, saying it's a bad situation for them. And I also reached out to an individual that previously was here, and I just asked the question how the sharing has gone from their perspective, and they said it's been great. And so it's somebody I value their opinion. And so I think it is a good opportunity for us right now to try that and explore that option. I think it is something that could benefit our district and our community. So.
I think, fiscally, we'd have money to direct back to perhaps other staff, to show the students in a different way. And I know you can find negatives and positives of both sides of everything. So I think just to try and figure out what is the best for our district. Because I guess when you look at candidates, you could get good candidates either way, or we could get bad either way too. So just by saying we want to go one way or the other, and I just think since we've been so financially focused and driven with cuts and things like that, that this is a good opportunity. But I want everybody's thoughts.
I understand what you guys are saying, and I guess my whole goal was to get somebody in here that was new for everybody. I know that you're saying get somebody that, if we share, we'd have to have somebody locally, but I would like to see somebody come in interim, and I'd really like to see him do a great job, and I'd really like to see him get hired. So I would hope that, we could pick somebody that we think that is a good fit right off the bat, and maybe somebody that's looking for the long-term job. I think, we have I think there's a lot going on here. I would say if everything was smooth sailing and we didn't have the changes of the PDs on Fridays and the 6th grade restructuring and, we're really struggling getting teacher morale up, staff morale up, getting kids out for sports. I'd just like to see somebody new come in, somebody that maybe somebody not from here, somebody that just wants to come in and is gung ho and get some change going. And as a former educator, if I had been here for a while and just the information that we've gotten, whether it's rumor, true, whatever, I would be ready for a fresh start. But that's just my opinion.
I'm gonna be honest, Becky, I haven't worked with an interim superintendent, but it's my understanding that most of those people tend to be retired people, so not the long haul necessarily.
Right. I was just hoping that we would get
Yeah,
somebody,
sure, for sure.
somebody that, like a new teacher out of school that's so excited to get their class going and
Yep.
want to do great things. That's just,
Yep.
Maybe I'm wishing for something that's not going to happen, but
And to be honest, at this time, I think most of probably those candidates are in a position for next year is my only, like we may be able to get an interim, but I don't think the person that will be the long term because we won't have.
But maybe couldn't we do if we have to, the AEA until, December and
sure.
see what
Right.
out of,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I just want big things to happen here.
And I understand that too. And I think we need to look at what the role of the superintendent, and I understand what you say about staff morale and stuff comes from the top. I know all that stuff, but I also know I can have the best attitude and try to implement the best culture, but the culture really starts down at the lowest level. I mean, people have to choose to want to have that. They have to choose their attitude each day. They have to choose how to look at it. We're trying to teach our kids how to, be the positive and be the person, the change they want to see and stuff like that. So some of that, I don't want just to say that a new person coming in is going to change the morale is.
No, but if you get a shared superintendent, and again, I'm not, totally against it, but it's just, I don't want to be compared with the other school that they're at. I don't want, and that's going to happen. It's going to happen, but, and I understand what you're saying, but I also know that teachers can go in and other staff members can go in every day with a good attitude, but you've got to have the backing from your administrators and they've got to have the backing from their superintendent. And if you don't have it, I mean, it has to start at the top. It has to. It doesn't start at the bottom. I've seen it. I've been there. If teachers don't have each other, they're in big trouble because that's who they have to lean on. But you know, they're I don't know. I just I would just like to get somebody new in.
Well, it seems like just sitting and listening to everybody kind of talked about a two-step process. That is, how do we fill the gap now?
Right.
And then what do we do long term?
Right,
Which I think
right,
is
right.
kind of what you're saying.
Right.
How do we get through this school year so that we can, whenever, whether it's November or December, start looking for a more permanent multi-year fix?
And I'm not saying sharing is the solution long term. You know, I don't know, but I think it's the opportunity to see what that looks like. And like, you know, if we see what it looks like and after the first quarter, it's like a dumpster fire, you know.
Well, is there a way that if we would share, whichever direction we go, if we have like quarterly work session or something, we discuss together as a group, how is it going?
Oh, absolutely.
Is there things we can put in place? Is there things we're looking for the next permanent person if that's how we end up going? That it kind of opens our eyes and says, we need more of this or we need more of that. It gives us a chance to build that instead of doing this quickly too. And so
And if
I
you're,
agree with everything you're saying. And then how can we do that together and figure that out long term?
and if you're thinking about them being pulled to other district and stuff, I think maybe the AA is an option then because they'll have that job too, but it's not like they're going to be comparing to that other district or and more flexibility of the 2 or 3 days. Just go ahead. Jess, were you going to say something?
Oh, yeah, I sure was. I was just going to say that I know that we're in a funky kind of position here and we need to make the most of it. I do know that I would be opposed to sharing because I want someone, and it doesn't have to be a full-time person. What Dr. Murley said, he said a sentence that really resonated with me. He said that whomever we get in this position, whether they turn out to be our full-term person or not, they could identify needs for the full-time person for a long-term solution going down the road. So we are still looking for the future. I feel like if we share with someone, number one, we're not their first priority and we're choosing to remain status quo. And that's not fair to our staff or our current administrators because there are I'm going to be real honest. I don't believe that our district is in a good place right now, not just because of the departure of our superintendent, but because we've had this building and building and building, you know, of culture, morale, accountability, all kinds of things. And I think to do what's right by our staff and then eventually by our students is to get someone who our district is going to be a priority, whether they're an interim or not. They're going to commit however many days per week just to our district. The decision was made just to have, you know, a part-time maintenance person. We're going to be dealing with that. Becky alluded to the new PD, the 6th grade. We've got so many changes right now that I don't think that we're doing ourselves a justice if we're just kicking the can down the road and sharing with someone. We really need someone to identify how we can improve and how can we be better when we do hire our full-time person that or not. It doesn't even have to be full-time. And maybe that person could be shared. I am certainly for sharing. I just don't think right now is the right time because we really need to turn our ship around and start working on how to improve and be better.
I'm just thinking about what, you know, everything you
Yeah.
said.
It's a hard, I mean, you don't know what the answer is. It's just, I mean, she said what I was thinking a lot better. It's just, you know, we want to get it going in the right direction before we get the person, I mean, that we're going to have permanently,
I
whether
guess
it
I
be
don't-
full-time or part-time.
I guess I don't know. I can't agree or disagree with the comments that you made, because I'm not in the ship, so to say, that you guys are talking about.
But we as a board, our job is to steer the ship. We're not supposed to row, we're supposed to steer. And we've got to steer the ship back on the right path.
I know, I'm saying that I can't tell that it's off the path because I don't, I haven't seen that information be brought to me.
I don't know. I guess where I'm at, and I don't know. I got 85 things going through my head right now, and that's why I've been so quiet. I don't even really know what to even say, other than I don't want to jump into something full time for sure. So I mean, I see the benefit of the AEA thing, you know, because you can do that for what, like 6 weeks. You know, you can do that for however long you want. And you get, you know, you can get your sharing dollars. You know, that's obviously going to be a benefit to what we've been talking about through all these board meetings. You know, we're trying to save money, trying to do that side of things, but also, you know, I would see where sharing for right now, and I really think we'd have to sit down and look at it, you know, like in the future, like I think Scott was saying, like do like quarterly work sessions, see how it's going. I think that'd be really great, because then that would give you, I don't know, it'd give you a lot of information to see how the sharing's going. I don't know if sharing's the full-time permanent solution. I really don't. I would really like to see a full-time. I don't know. I just can't see New London not having a full-time one. It's just weird to me, I guess. But I could see us sharing now. I really can't see that. And I mean, I get the things that you guys are saying about how, you know, getting somebody in here, because, you know, we have had a lot of changes. I mean, we're going to have 6th grade being different, and then, you know, the different calendar, stuff like that. I don't know. I'm basically talking all around it, but basically what I feel is I think sharing agreement short term, like, you know, for this year or even half a year, but then also looking to see if that's a fit, or if we're going to need for the future a full-time person. I think that's where we should start, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. I don't know.
I also think you know, like I may have said to you before, Jess, that the position that the board is in is such an important one for the lack of education that the people have that are in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not educated in the educational system. I'm not educated in the superintendent, the principal's job, you know. So for us to sit here and to have to make that decision, like, I don't know what the superintendent's duties are or exact responsibilities. One thing, these are the points I'm coming from is, you know, the savings, the cost savings. I see other districts our size that share. I also see a previous superintendent, Chad, like, does a lot of things that you don't see other superintendents do in districts, you know? For instance, so what are the duties that person would be doing if they're not in here in the summer remodeling classrooms? They're not, you know, doing all the other outside stuff. So,
right. Yeah. But this is going to be probably all of our tenures on the board. This decision, hiring a superintendent, shared, long-term, whatever, this is going to be our most important task as a board.
I know that.
And I think that everyone needs to educate themselves on what a superintendent is to do. Because like you just said, superintendents don't mow the lawn and they don't remodel classrooms. There is so much work to be done in the summer, fiscally ending a year, beginning a year, reporting. Yes, the SBO does that, but also there's board policy, and that's the time when people take a rest and charge it for the next year to get the books open or closed. I'm not going to sit here and speak to what Chad did, because the board at the time that employed him was perfectly fine with him doing those things and putting all of the superintendents and the SBO's responsibility on the SBO. That is not what's usual in all of the other districts. There is a superintendent for a reason, and there's maintenance for a reason. So I think that we're going to see when we do have our maintenance person there, that there's a need for a full-time maintenance person for a reason, because the superintendent has other duties that they need to tend to, which is kind of why we were in the fiscal issues that we were over the last couple of years, because those weren't being tended to properly. So while you say you don't know what a superintendent's duty is, I think that we're, again, going to be kicking the can down the road if we don't have someone who is focused on our district and the needs that we have. We don't have to be like other districts. I'm not saying that. We can be unique, we can be New London, but we also have responsibility to make sure that our school is running and is running efficiently, and that we're in compliance with the laws, and we're not just checking boxes. We're not just checking boxes that we have a superintendent in place. I think if someone comes in, hopefully they're going to evaluate what we are doing educationally, what we're doing fiscally, and they're not going to just, raise an eyebrow or tattletale. So I should speak to the board that this isn't being done correctly, but they're also going to work to improve what is not being done the way that it possibly should be. And that's what we need. We need someone to say, you guys are doing it this way, but it should be done this way. So let's work together to get it done this way. And that's going to be a very big undertaking for someone who already had a full-time gig in another district, because it's my opinion that we do need a lot of help, and we have a lot of room for improvement right now. So, and that is what is, in my opinion, again, that is what is contributing to the morale that we have right now within our staff.
Hey, Jessica, are you suggesting that we get an interim full time then? Because if we have an interim who's retired who only does a couple days a week, wouldn't that be similar to a shared person?
No, because I'm looking at the interim being, even if they are a couple of days a week, we're their primary focus. So they're not here, say, 3 days a week or 2 days a week, and then they're running their own district the other days a week. So if they're only here 3 days a week, they're solely focused on us. They're not taking calls from their district. They're not going back to their district where they are dealing with discipline problems and fiscal problems and all kinds of stuff. Their only concern is New London and what we have going on here. And they can do that part-time. I don't think there's any reason why, because Mr. Wall said it himself. He often found himself bored sometimes. So if you're taking care of the duties that you need to be doing in a small 500 enrollment school, I think that can be done part-time, and I think it can be done effectively. If it's the primary focus of the person.
Again, I'll have to say, you have a lot more information that you're referring to than I have, has been brought to my attention.
And I just want to add to that a little bit. I mean, this is a little different situation, but I did work as a teacher and our administrator, not our superintendent, but our administrator, shared buildings for 2 years. And it was the worst 2 years of my teaching career, because when you needed your principal, he wasn't there. And when you made the phone call to the other school where you thought he was supposed to be, sometimes he was there and sometimes he wasn't, and he couldn't leave because he had other things going on. It's the worst feeling, because you had to make decisions on your own that you're not used to making. And I kind of see this same thing happening. I agree with her in certain things. I just think New London needs their own right now. I think.
Can I ask something just real quick? If we have an interim for 2 days a week, how do we know that they're our own?
If they're not working for another.
But what they do on their other 5 days a week is they could have a business on the side, they could golf, they could whatever. Who knows what they're doing on those other days? And and I get that whoever's here, we want their focus to be on us. I agree 100% because we have to continually move forward. I'm very honest. I don't understand. I'm not pushing back on anybody. I just don't understand how an interim makes that happen, that their focus, we assume that their focus when they're here with us, those 2 days is 100% on us. And that's not the same idea as a shared person. Like this person that Nathan Wood was talking about, who would come, who works for the AA, doesn't have any other district, so would come in those 2 days. I would assume, because they're professional, that those 2 days would be 100% focused on us. Now, granted, if something happens at the AA or something, would come up, that person would have to help out with that. But same with that interim, if something would happen in that person's life, they might only be here 1 day that week. That's the piece, the thing that I guess I keep falling back on is not the number of days or the interim or the shared or whatever. But if we have somebody who is shared right now, initially, just to get us through to this next level, because really, whether it's interim or shared, that's what we're talking about, is a bridge to the future, right? And whatever that future looks like. Interim typically are retired and not practicing. Shared are typically in it, content experts. They're doing things. To me, I would guess, I don't know what Scott thinks, I feel like they're going to be able to identify the areas where we're lacking, because let's be honest, we're lacking in areas. Every district is lacking somewhere, and be able to point those things out because they're actually doing it. You know what I mean? They're practicing, and so that's just what I'm thinking.
So then, I mean, can I ask you then?
Ask away. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, like I said, I'm not 100% against hearing, but
sure.
I guess I go back to, the previous board. I know there were a couple who did not want to share superintendents. So is that the way you're looking for the future? That if we can share superintendents, that's what you would like to do?
If we can share superintendents and continually move the district forward, and just like all the things that you said, hey, refocus, all of those things, to me, it seems like a fiscally responsible thing to do. Now, again, and I've mentioned it multiple times, if we start down this path and we go, like you talked about with your building principal not being there, and I think building principals are more hands-on than maybe superintendents, in the buildings. But and we see, hey, this isn't working and the person's never here when we need them. Well, that's a piece of information that we don't have right now. Mm-hmm. So that's a piece of data or information that we've got to look at and go, hey, it just doesn't work here in New London. We need a full-time person, and we need to contact one of those firms, and we need to have a search starting why wait till January? Let's start in November so that we have that person. We can interview the people who aren't employed by other districts already and get that person that you're talking about to really push the district further. So yeah, that's my opinion. I don't know what Scott says.
Nope, I would agree. The nice thing about them practicing is they're going to want to come in and do a good job too, because their name's going to be on whatever they do in New London versus wherever else they're at too. So they want to do a good job at both places, no matter what the other role is, whether it's AA, whether it's a school district. They want good things to happen in both places for them professionally, so they can continue to move their careers wherever they want to do professionally. I also think it provides an opportunity to, as we're talking about changes in our district with PD and different things, we then have a connection to another district. Maybe they're doing good things that we can mimic. We can work with them. We can do those things. Let's say we get in a situation in a year from now, we're looking for a math teacher again. Okay. Well, we played our one card to cover math teacher right now. What do we do if we don't have it next year? Kind of situation. But we're in a sharing agreement. Maybe that gives us a partnership then to cover those classes in a different way that we can work as a group and figure out how to do that in the future. It just opens up other avenues too, I think. But I really like the fact they're practicing right now. Because I think there was one of the presenters that said an interim up to 2 years. So they're really honest with that it wasn't a long-term solution, or it wasn't typically somebody you're going to move into that position. I think both ways have good positives, like everybody has said. I like the fact that somebody's practicing too, right now, currently. They haven't retired. Yeah.
And I agree with what you just said. I guess working in a bigger district where I work, yeah, you want to get good ideas.
Yep.
Or, if this school's got something going on that's good, you want to do that too. However, I'm a person that kind of likes to do my own thing. Mm-hmm. And, if I see something that's not working, I'm going to try to find, and I don't want somebody to say, oh no, you can't do that because it works over here at this building. So your building needs to do that too. I don't like to be a follower. I like to be a leader. And so I think there's positives both ways. Mm-hmm. But I will say, and I know I'm going to make some people mad when I say this, but I went to school in a small district too. And you do form a lot of close relationships, a lot. And I think a lot of what has happened here, just from an outsider looking in, it didn't do well for New London. That's why I would like to see a new person come in. That's where I'm coming from. Is that new person gonna, maybe fall right into the same grooves? Maybe. But I would.
The person coming in either way is going to be new. So
I mean, new to the area, completely new. I just think we need a fresh start. But that's just me.
Are you, Becky, just from
because if you tell any of these people,
Sure.
I mean,
are you talking the superintendent for this year? You want to be brand new, not in the area, whether it's interim or shared. What
yes.
would be your preference?
Yes,
okay.
I would just like to
just asking before I understand.
Because AEA, everybody is so close. You know what I mean? So close. It has to be for sharing. I don't know. I would just like to see what's out there, and I guess it's just wishful thinking that we would get an interim that wouldn't be just 2 days a week, that would be full time, just somebody that, and you're right, it's usually somebody that's retired or whatever, but if we could get that one person that has more days available, but again, we're not going to know that till we see what they bring to us. But I would just like to see a clean slate, new blood, new ideas.
So I got a question. So let's say hypothetically we go greater or the AEA, and you get your 2 days a week shared agreement. You do that, and then with like these firms, can you say, I want to explore both options, the sharing and the full time, and they can come back with both.
I wondered the same thing.
I mean, then you have till what, March? Roughly is when you should probably start making decisions, like which way you want to go, right?
So you're saying to share with the AEA right now and then to go with them. But then I think
Just gives us a lot.
But they would, at that time, they would probably look for full-time. They would be looking for a full-time at that.
Well, I'm just saying, let's say you do the AEA and they're doing their AEA. Then you get one of these firms, one of the four or whoever, I don't care. And you say, hey, we're not sure what we want to do yet with sharing or going full-time. Can you explore both options and give us the options? I mean, then you have the options in March. Or I'm saying March. I don't know what the dates are. But that gives you an extra 3 extra months to know if you want to go sharing or
I'm sure
full-time. Because then you'll have the sharing people set up like, hey, we're agreeing we will share, but obviously you can't tell them that we're going to until we make a decision. But then you at least have a list of people that would share, and then you see who's going to share, who would be willing to even do a couple times a week, and you'd still have just like their own person or whatever. You just have a lot of options.
Right.
And then you can make a decision a long time. You get like 8 months then, instead of, because I mean, if we share with the whatever, we'll have to start making a decision quicker, because we'll have to know sharing or full time. But if we explore both, which I don't know if that'll cost us more. I know that one said it was lumped into one, but
But you're meeting to share for the year,
yeah,
like with AEA
Yeah,
or whatever, and
right,
then
yeah.
in the January or wherever they start looking to look at all options, have them get every type of candidate.
Yeah, I don't.
And I think we're just talking about right now, Kyle. Like
No, I
this year,
know. I'm just
and I
saying, but
think
that's like,
Becky wants a new.
yeah. I worry that
But
maybe you could get your perfect person. I worry. Yeah, I am. I just keep on hearing from other people and then other people I've talked to that just, that's really hard right at this point, but you never know.
I mean, and this is a little off topic a little bit. I mean, it's hard for me to wrap my head around, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, nobody. I'm just trying to wrap my head around. I've worked for several superintendents, and I've never had a superintendent do the things that some of the job duties that Chad chose to do, but I know I worked in a bigger district than him. So I'm trying to figure out if he was able to do those things, then why did the former board, some of the board, not want a shared superintendent? You know what I mean? If there weren't enough job duties, you know what I'm trying to say? I mean, if we don't have enough work to keep a superintendent busy sitting behind the desk or do whatever they do on a daily basis that's in their job description, then yeah, we shouldn't pay for a full-time superintendent. But you're not going to find another, I doubt, superintendent that's going to do what he did, the maintenance stuff, because that's just not their job description. You know, I wouldn't want to do it. If they didn't go to school to do that. You know, he did it out of either being bored or the kindness of his heart or whatever he did it for, save us money, whatever. But still, if he had the time to do that, you know, then we don't need to pay for a full-time superintendent. But who's going to come in here and tell us that? You know, are we going to get a shared superintendent that's going to say, yeah, you don't need a full-time person? Or are we going to get an interim superintendent that's going to say, you know, I mean, I need somebody to lead me, you know, because I don't know what all they do. I just knew it was a big job.
No,
So Becky, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think that for the most part, you know, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but for the most part, I think that we're all in agreement that because of the things that our most recent superintendent had time to do, that we can explore a part-time superintendent, whether it's shared or whether it's just one individual that works maybe Monday through Friday until noon. I think that for the most part, we can all agree on that. However, I think that when the murky comes in, it's like Jen said, I don't know what a superintendent's job description is. So that's on our own shoulders to research that and maybe, you know, in this process, develop a better job description for what they're doing. We certainly don't want what happened. I think it was either last summer or the summer before when our superintendent was remodeling classrooms and the teachers showed up and there were absolutely no school supplies. I mean, we want to make sure that the superintendent is doing the superintendent's job. So right now, though, our task is, are we going to move forward and are we going to share either with the AEA or a neighboring district, or are we going to hire a search firm to find an interim for us, whether it's part-time or full-time? So the only possibility from, in my opinion, to share would be with the AEA, because I do agree with what Todd and Scott are saying. It would be nice to get someone who is currently practicing, or someone who is very just retired maybe this year or last, so they are up on all of the legislation, up on, current trends in education. The AEA, if they are just focused on us, and then I don't know what they do with the rest of their time, but say they come to us Monday through Friday until noon and they get a lay of the land, who cares what they do the rest of their day? But I highly doubt that it's going to be, hey, I've got to go back over to my district because we're having this kind of problem, or I've got to supervise the football game over here, or whatever the case may be. The AEA is not going to have that kind of responsibility, I wouldn't think, on their shoulders, where they could just focus on New London, and then whatever else they do for the AEA. I don't think it would be managing another district. I would assume it would just be us, and then whatever else fills the rest of their day.
I would agree with you on that, just that I think that they would have more focus on. I also think that, like I think they would also have a fresh perspective, because they're not a superintendent at another district, and they're new per se. So they're like, oh, I'm going to go use my superintendent skills, sort of thing.
Yeah. And how long did they sit, or with the shared? No.
You can do it all year or 6 weeks or
Oh, that's what.
whatever.
Well, it would
You can
probably
do whatever
be,
you want.
so if we do a year and we do 2 days, then we have to pay 40% of what their salary is,
And then you get sharing.
and we would get sharing dollars for that.
Yeah.
We would probably also, and I don't think with that though, we could probably have them in place by July 1st, where we wouldn't have
They
to
said
pay
that.
that $1,200 a week plus,
Right.
Yeah, they said that.
I mean, to me, I think that's the best route to go, and then explore with our firms, for the next,
Explore both.
explore everything.
Yeah.
We'll know at that time, because we're only having them part-time.
Right.
So we'll know, can we do a part-time, or do we need to be looking for a full-time?
Right.
So you're saying do it for how long then?
I would say for this
This year.
year, but I think like anything, Becky, if it's not going well for a party,
I think he said that he ended at any point.
It's
Right.
what it said.
If you have your quarterly discussion and it's not working, I think we could probably re-engage that.
Right.
So then we would just put these guys on hold.
Right.
I mean, we wouldn't pick.
Right.
Yeah, we have to pull.
Right. Because I think AEA is part of our pick right now, and then we would pick one of them, or even bring a couple more in at that time.
Yeah, you could probably pick them by August. I don't know. And then they have the whole,
Well, yeah, I
6
guess we
months.
could pick them.
or sooner.
We
I
could
don't-
pick a firm, but then in August I would be okay with picking a firm.
Yeah. But not
Then
picking
knowing
which way.
not which way we're going yet.
Yeah. But they can maybe explore both. I just really
Yeah.
like to see if they can explore both.
I mean, if you're exploring,
And then
yeah.
you can.
But then we would also know by December or whatever, like, no, we really think we need to look more towards full
You should
time.
have
Or,
some people.
yeah, we have some data that we think we could share. Or part-time one. Doesn't
And he
mean
said he
have
had
to
a
share.
lady. He said he had a lady and
2 people.
Retired superintendent. And just retired.
It's last year, right?
Last year.
And I think he had
probably
another,
know that.
when I talked to him on the phone because I had to contact them about getting a license hanging. If we don't have them by July. And at that time, he said he had 2 people besides himself that had their superintendent. I mean,
I think the lady has a lot of experience, especially, as we said. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
and he would be a resource for that person too. Nathan is going to be in Sigourney superintendent. And I imagine that they would have unlimited resources from their colleagues. So that's what they do.
So I don't know. I think we're kind of pretty close. Like I think I could make a motion. I think. Are we ready for that?
Sure.
And then we'll see what happens.
Sure.
So I'll make a motion to go with the Greater Prairie AEA for this year, and then at a later date, pick a firm that could explore both options for the following year. Good enough? Turn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
That's
Yeah,
a
I'll second.
Okay. Any other conversation? I do think that we need to meet. Like, I would even feel, I mean, we'll have our meet, but we need to meet at least, I don't know, I almost want to say monthly or every other month with this
Yeah,
person.
I think.
Yeah.
Like set up a work or a special session
Yeah.
for every. Yeah.
Yes, because I think you guys have, in Mount Pleasant, Jess, don't they have a work session
Yeah.
a month and then a regular board session?
Yes.
And I
yes.
think that would be advantageous for us to do at this point.
Yeah. Just for the education piece, you know, I mean, we want to move forward in our district, but I think even we have to move forward as a board. And
Mhm.
like right now, the board doesn't even have any district goals. So, I mean, we need to get ourselves back on track as a board as well before we even think that we're going to do, you know, improve the district. We've got to improve ourselves too.
Yes, and there's plans for that when we get our new board member in the seat.
Yeah.
So.
Mm.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Only because I'm still holding out for new blood. Not local blood, new blood.
Becky opposed, but it was 3-1. So.
Okay.
Okay, so, I can make a call to Nathan, just to let them know, and then they would come here and meet with us. I'll ask them what the next steps, and I'll reach out to you guys.
You guys want me to respond to the firms that attended today, just so that
Yeah.
they are aware of the outcomes and that we will be reaching out to them in the future in the coming months, for a decision.
All right, I guess I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I one
Go ahead.
disclaimer before we wrap up the meeting.
Okay.
Any of my comments that had to do with financials does not relate to the time when Janae began work. It's all prior to Janae. Janae's been doing a great job in trying to get us back on track. So I just want to add that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Jess.